Today, we will be classifying two-dimensional figures and identifying lines of symmetry. We'll first classify the following shapes as either trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, or square. These are both examples of a trapezoid. We know that they're a trapezoid because they have four sides and only one pair of parallel lines. Now take a moment to identify the shape or shapes that would be considered a trapezoid. Here we have an example of a trapezoid because it has four sides and only one pair of parallel lines. Next, we will classify the following shapes as either a trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, or square. All of these are examples of rectangles. We know that they're rectangles because they all have four sides, two pairs of parallel lines, and four right angles. Next, you'll identify the shape or shapes that would be considered a rectangle. Here we have two examples of a rectangle. We know that they're rectangles because they have four sides, two pairs of parallel lines, and four right angles. Next, we'll classify the following as a trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, or square. We know that all of these are an example of a rhombus because each of them has four equal sides and two pairs of parallel lines. Now take a moment to identify the shape or shapes that would be considered a rhombus. Here we have two examples that would be considered a rhombus. We know that they are because they have four equal sides and two pairs of parallel lines. Now we're going to classify the following shapes as either a trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, or square. Each of these shapes we know are squares. We know this because they each have four equal sides, two pairs of parallel lines, and also four right angles. Now take a moment to identify the shape or shapes that would be considered a square. Here we only have one example of a square. We know it's a square because it has four equal sides, it has two pairs of parallel lines, and four right angles. Now we'll classify the following as a trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, or square. These we know are all examples of parallelograms. We know this because they each have four sides and also two pairs of parallel lines. Now take a moment to identify the shape or shapes that would be considered a parallelogram. These four would be considered parallelograms. We know this because they each have four sides and they have two pairs of parallel lines. Next, we're going to identify line of symmetry on a two-dimensional figure. Here, on our shape, we have one line of symmetry. We have one vertical line of symmetry on our shape. We know that it's a line of symmetry because it creates a mirror image from the left and the right side of the line of symmetry. Next, we'll identify a line of symmetry on this two-dimensional figure. Here we have one line of symmetry. We have one horizontal line of symmetry. We know it's a line of symmetry because it has a mirror image from the top and the bottom of our shape. How many lines of symmetry do the two-dimensional figures have? We'll look at the shapes from left to right. First, we'll look at the lightning bolt. How many lines of symmetry does a two-dimensional figure have? The lightning bolt has 0 lines of symmetry. We cannot put a line that would give us a mirror image on either side. Now we will look at the heart. How many lines of symmetry does the two-dimensional figure have? The heart has one line of symmetry. We know that it has one line of symmetry because it gives us a mirror image from the left and the right side. Now we'll look at our arrows. Our arrow has two lines of symmetry. We can put a line vertically that will give us mirror images from the left and the right. And we can put a line horizontally that will give us mirror images from the top and the bottom.